Hi, I'm an artist, and today we will paint some pumpkins. But here's the twist, I'm only allowed to use colors from these two stock photos. So the first one was this pumpkin with this purple, blue and orange color palette from this sky photo. But before talking about the painting itself, I want to go on a little tangent about a little journey I had to take on in order to find these little pumpkins. So I had this idea of painting pumpkins for some time already. Like it was about to be October, the spooky season, you know. So I embarked on a journey to find some pumpkin pics to paint, and I thought it would be easy. But everything I was coming across was like the very round, very symmetrical, very cute pumpkins. But the thing was that I didn't want to paint this kind of very round, very symmetrical, very cute pumpkins. Like, yes, they are very cute and lovely and stuff, but I don't want to paint them because I will be honest. And sorry in advance to those pumpkins. Also, no hard feeling by the way. They are a little bit boring to paint. And what I wanted to paint was something weird, wacky, and plus points if it looked like the pumpkin was about to melt on the ground or folded in the middle or something like that. In other words, the odder it looked, the more I wanted to paint them. However, for some reasons, well, I do understand the reason why people don't really post about the pumpkins looking like that. Like again, almost all the pumpkins online were the very round, very cute looking kind of pumpkins. And why I don't have anything against those. And I know they are many people's favorites, and they are also perfect for carving, but you know, how about the wacky ones? Like they are pumpkins too, you know? Why does almost no one post about them online? Like, why? I really want to see more of them, you know, but it is so hard to find them. So in the end, I ended up having to use some weird roundabout ways to find these two very lovely little pumpkins. So the first one here, I had to use the specific name for a type pumpkin to search on Google, and finally was able to find it on a website that sold pumpkin seeds, like the type for growing the actual pumpkin, you know, like not the snack type. And then the second one here, I found it on Pesos after countless hours of doom scrolling on there just to find some weird pumpkins. And you know what? It's not even the main star of the picture. Like I had to crop it from the edge of the photo, you know. And also in that photo, again, almost everyone else is looking the same, like very round, very cute. But why aren't there more of this cutie pie, you know? Like why? I'm sure there's an audience for all that kind of pumpkins, you know. Like me, I want to see more of them. Anyway, I think you get the idea. Now let's move on to the actual painting part of the video. And also, just another tiny side note, if you had access to a sort of wacky weird shaped pumpkins, or you know, actually any kind of veggies in general, please hook me up. Like I like looking at them and painting them, so thanks in advance, you know, thanks. So as you may or may not notice, I began this challenge with picking out some colors from the stock photos and then arranging them on a value scale from light to dark. And I found keeping a black and white filter layers ready on the side was really helpful for that, because sometimes our eyes are not that reliable when staring at colors for too long, you know. So to do that in Krita, just right click on the layer you want. Then a bunch of options will appear. Choose the filter mask and then choose desaturate and bam, you're done. Now whenever you want to check the value of the colors, just click on the eye icon on the filter mask to make it visible and you're good to go. So after that's done, I began blocking out some colors on the pumpkin itself. And because we had already organized the colors on a value scale there, this step was fairly easy and straightforward. I used the middle value blue for the background, and then the second lightest blue for the whole pumpkin, and then started to block in the light with some light oranges. And I don't know, it was because of this specific color palette or something, but I really enjoyed how the pumpkin looked at this stage. Like quite dreamy, to the point that it even felt a tiny bit surreal. Like it's hard to describe the exact vibe here, but I just like it a lot. Yeah, and also the brush too. This is a brush I just discovered recently. It is in the charcoal brush pack that I have used before, like not this specific one of course. I used some other brushes in the same pack to paint the hands in the Q&A video. And why I did really enjoy those, but this, like this one, I enjoyed this one far more than that. Like the texture was phenomenal. It looked really convincing as some soft chalk on paper, and especially how the color were kind of picking out from the underneath every time you layered them on top of each other. Like it just looks so lovely. And again, I like it a lot. And seems like we are about done with this little cute flat pumpkin. Let's move on to the next one. For this one, I used this green and bright orange or red color palette, and similarly to the first one, I also organized them on a value scale from light to dark. And here was how that looked when I was done. Ta-da! So the second pumpkin, the almost forgotten pumpkin on the edge of a photo. I really like this one because in addition to being non-conventional looking, it also has some bumps and bulges that are really fun to paint. Personally, I think a little bit of those will be fine and fun, but any more than that, then maybe it will trigger some kind of phobia, Yeah, so this is perfect. Anyway, after I was done with the sketch, just like with the last one, I also started to block in the major light and dark shape with two colors. And at first, I was thinking about making the pumpkin also blindingly glow, just like the stock photo itself, but then I was like, nah. If so, then I wouldn't be able to paint all the lovely bumps because the blinding light just washed every and any kind of texture out of existence, So I decided to paint them more close and accurate to the lovely model in the reference. When I was happy with how the general value was looking, I started the rendering process, or simpler terms, adding a tons more details in there. And here's something I did differently from the last one, but I have to talk about what I was struggling with that one first. So while painting the first pumpkin, I didn't have the easiest time while rendering the shadow part. Like I was struggling with how much detail I should paint that part because I didn't want it to take away a lot of attention from the light, because I really like how the lighting looked, especially when I just finished blocking it in. So I wanted to preserve that as best as I could. But the thing was that the area of the shadow was much larger than the light part, so I couldn't just leave it there with minimal to no details because it would look so bare and unfinished. And there was no way I was gonna let that happen. No. So in the end, my solution was that I still painted quite a lot of details in the shadow part, but with really similar value colors, which meant not going super dark on the value scale, in the hope of being able to show the form of the pumpkin while making sure all the attention was on the brighter colors. So for the second one, because of the nature of the lighting setup, like being outdoor on a super sunny day, so the shadow was a lot smaller in terms of area. And also because I learned my lesson from the first one, I barely even touched the shadow part at all. Like I only added some dark green in the groove and a tiny bit of reflected light, and that's what all. And I mainly focused all my energy on the light part, where all the bumps and texture happened. So overall, I rated the painting experience of this second pumpkin much higher than the first one. And that's the keyword, painting experience, and not the actual painting result. For some reasons, I still enjoyed how the first pumpkin turned out a lot more. Like, I don't know if it was the magic of the first time doing a challenge or something. Like, the same thing also happened with my stock photo paint over challenge as well. I also enjoy the first one the most, like that kind of excitement of trying something new and it actually looks good. It is something pretty hard, if not impossible to replicate. Like even if the later attempts were better in terms of technical stuff, but that excitement, like that feeling, like nothing could really compare to that, But maybe at the same time, it could totally be that I just simply like the color scheme of the first one much better than the second one, Sometimes things is really that simple, So anyway, I think the second pumpkin is also done. So let's check out how these lovely pumpkins turn out, shall we? So that's the video for this week. Happy early spooky season with some pretty tame pumpkins in my opinion. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day/night ahead and see you later.